That's what, yeah.
All right, ladies, so we can go ahead back in
Let me
and.
keep continuity here.
All right.
I'm like, all of a sudden she has.
Yeah, good thinking. All right.
Good job.
And
Thanks.
in 3,
Okay.
2, 1, and it's on you.
Okay. I'm still sitting with what you said, a new way to be white. So this is, I can't imagine, obviously I'm part white, I'm very mixed, but I cannot imagine what it means or what the experience is to be someone who identifies as a white woman talking about a new way to be white. Everything I've heard you say so far, which by the way I'm totally mind blown. I'm like, woo, hello. Like what? How did you come to this? Where was the realization that this was the path for you?
Well, I grew up in an all-white, nearly all-white community, learning from my parents that racism is terrible, Dr. Martin Luther King is wonderful, and the way to not be racist is to be colorblind and treat everybody the same. But I never actually saw them do that, not intentionally on their part, but because we lived in an all-white community, I just didn't see them do this, you know. So the story, as I grew older, about, well, why is there so much racial inequality, was, you know, we used to have terrible racism, but then there was a civil rights movement led by Dr. King, and now opportunities are distributed equally, and some families like ours work really hard, and that's why we have what we have, and other families choose not to, and that's why they're in the situation that they're in. But then from a very early age, I had a strong calling to activism, to feminism. And it started in 6th grade, keeping Judy Blume books in our school library, and expanded in high school to oppose the wars in Central America, to oppose apartheid, and led to a whole career in the immigrants' rights movement in the early part of my career. And then I was working for the city of New York when reports came out that said 50% of black men in New York City don't have a job. We have 200,000 young adults, almost entirely black and Latinx, who are not in school, not working. And I made a whole shift to workforce development because I thought that people needed job training and connections to internships and employers. And I dedicated 10 years of my career to that field.
So it was just seeing a report that made you say, hey, I'm picking up, packing up, and changing gears.
Yeah.
That was all it took?
Well, it was a combination of things. I was ready to make a shift at that point.
Okay.
Then, only to come to find out, listening to the young people who I was connecting to these internships and jobs, about what it was like to be the only young black woman as far as the eye could see, and the nonstop abuse that they were receiving from their managers, from their colleagues. And I came to realize, dang, you know, I've spent my whole career working in communities of color when I should have been focused on white people this entire time. Like, we are the problem.
So was there like a specific moment or conversation or experience where you said, where you had that realization, where you said, I want to be with the white people, helping them?
Yes, it was 2014. So really, I could not take my eyes off of Ferguson. And seeing black activists stand up to tear gas and police in riot gear got me to stand up to my then husband and get out of a really bad situation. And then right after Darren Wilson wasn't indicted for killing Mike Brown, I went out to brunch with these 2 young black women who had graduated from the program I used to work for. And they were the ones who were talking to me about how grateful they were for their incomes, their lifestyles, where they were working, but that they were getting all these comments and how challenging it was for them to come into work every day. And at that point, my job was doing student outreach and recruitment, which is like my idea of fun, right? But I realized, dang, here I thought I was helping young people, but I'm actually sending them into harm's way. So what can I do to start to transform workplaces, because I think there's a lot of people like me who grew up in all white environments and we never learned, we never saw what it is to relate across difference as equals. Now we're working in these very diverse cities, but we don't have the baseline skills of what it is to be able to work together.
What gave you the gumption, the power, the drive to know